Hi, welcome back to the IM4GOD movement. I'm Charcy Curtis, and I want to personally thank everyone for tuning in and watching. And those that just tuning in, you have to check out the other ones. This is episode 10. But today, we have a special guest. I know for those that tuned in from the beginning, you know I talked about the angel. My angel, I have her here today, who I call her my sister / client. And today, y'all get to find out how we met. You know, God has a way of letting us meet each other, and his way is the best way. But I'm going to let her introduce herself, because she has so many different things. She can do anything she put her mind to. She's like an octopus. But I'm going to let my sister introduce herself with all she got going on today. Just tell me a little bit about yourself, sis.
Hey, greetings. My name is Tara Gilbert Ross, also known as Honesty the Writer. I like to think of myself as the Jackée of all trades. I am a retired naval chief. I have obtained my PhD in public policy. I've worked at a number of federal installations. I'm a published author, and now I'm on my journey to building Black economic structures through entrepreneurships in our community.
You got to tell them about the one you and your husband doing together.
So in this current pandemic has brought to the forefront a lot of undisclosed mental health issues. I am conquering bipolar, and I say conquering because every day it's a challenge, but God is still faithful.
Yes.
And through my conquering, I can't do it alone. And my husband has been a huge part of my recovery and my treatment. And I wanted to share that because I think that the trauma that we experience as African American women lead to the way we interact in relationships. Mm-hmm. So we're starting a blog called Marriage and Mental Health.
Y'all have to check it out. Y'all in for a treat. Well, I'm gonna get right to it, sis. They want to know how we met. You was looking for a hairstylist one day, and I came across. It's been like how many years now?
11 years.
Yeah.
I was still active duty, and I went into a hair salon, and I was rather new to the area, mm-hmm. and I had short hair. And I said, I'm looking for somebody who can do my hair. And without hesitation, the girl said, you need to get to Chelsea. She's the best here. And she gave me your number. I remember you were very short. What do you want? And I said, well, I kind of like, my hair is short, but I like to wear weave. I don't do weave. I said, okay, well, that's what I want. Can you make an exception? And what really drawn me to you as you have the exact same personality as my best friend from Chicago.
Yes.
So it was like deja vu to meet the Southern version of my city friend.
We're not gonna say who we don't, you know. We don't tell that part. We don't, you know. But anyways, you know, God has a way, like I said. But it's funny because I look back of, you know, how you would not know that we just met from, you know, like me just doing your hair. But it's funny how even that day you called me, you remember that day you called me? Mm-hmm. And you was like, you know, telling me about a location you found or whatever. And I was like, you didn't know. I didn't tell you that I had prayed to God 2 weeks prior. Mm-hmm. And it was like confirmation for me. Mm-hmm. You know, I never told you. And I was like, God, you know, is this it? Like, do I take this jump? And you was just so adamant about when you called me, and when you said, why you just can't allow God to just move you. You done been on Raleigh Road for so long, mm-hmm. and Ramsey Street is growing. Mm-hmm. And You didn't know, but like I said, you know, by me praying 2 weeks and I was going through something really bad and I didn't say anything to you, and for you to just to say the conference words that you said, it was just like, okay, God, you just sent the angel personally. And to look back at that day, you know, what made you call me that day?
So at that point, our friendship had already transitioned to a sisterhood for me, because you had become a sounding board for my upcoming things that I was exploring, because you have a very creative mind, and you know, you don't put anything in a box. There's no limit in your vision. When someone gives you your vision, you take it full term all the way. So I would love to bounce my ideas by you. And I was not supposed to get a hair salon. I was just getting a makeup salon. Right. And you were so behind me, like, that's going to be super dope. And I'm going to be there, giving them the support as usual. But the lady who owned the salon, she had owned it for 27 years. She had met me and my husband before, and she had just lost her mom. And she says, I'm giving up the shop, and I want to give it to somebody who I know is going to take care of it. And she was like, can you buy the shop for me? And I'm like, I don't do hair. So God definitely maneuvered all of these things. And I went in the shop. It was a really nice space, but it had not been updated. And I knew if I was going to have you transition from where you were, that I needed to give you a good space. And I remember saying, I need about $50,000 or $60,000. And if you remember, I told you, like, a guy walked up to me and was like, I'd like to give you
I remember
$35,000 just for what you do. And I was like, this is God.
Yeah, I remember. Remember the butterfly thing?
Oh, so I think God speaks through us through nature. And for me, I always look for confirmation through butterflies. So I had took the children to see a movie. It was after 8 p.m. so nightfall had set. It was completely dark outside, and I was meeting someone who I had took her children to the movie too, and we were out there talking, and I was telling her about my journey, and she was like, that's cool. If you need another investor, I support you. I mean, God was just sending support out the woodwork. And then I said, I said very tearfully, I was like, thank you, God. But in my mind, I was thinking, is this you, God? And it was the middle of the night, and a butterfly, we were standing under a light pole, a gold brownish butterfly flew. No, it was a butterfly. It flew and it landed on my hand. And I looked at her, and we both looked at each other, and she said, if I wasn't standing here, I wouldn't believe this. The butterfly stopped and landed on my hand, and I just cried because I said, God, this is you. And when I came to you, I told you, I'm not making this move without you. This move is for you. But I don't think you remember, they had did a little celebration for you, because you were kind of like, people could tell that something was changing and that you were down, and you helped so many people that they wanted to give back to you. And I was at that event, and I could see the hurt that you were carrying. And I was like, God, if you can bring her closer, we can help one another.
And he did just that. He did. I remember when I asked you, I said, sis, how long is it going to take you? Now, you don't know, but I'm going to tell you that. When you said 30 days, I was like, okay, God, if she don't have it done in 30 days, I'm not moving. And when you called me every week, and you was like, come look, come look, come look. And you had it done in 28 days. And I remember walking out the door, and I was like, God, if this you, let this happen, help her. And you really had it done in 28 days. I was like, this is unbelievable. But I mean, I know God had to do it, because there's no way you could have got all that stuff done. And it was like, when he was like, well, it's not everything I was looking for. It was just like sitting there waiting for me.
$60,000 later and 28 days later. But to be blessed, for you to tell God what you want, and for God to manifest that right before you, it's confirmation. What I've found in my life, that when you're pushing in the spirit, like you're pushing physically to make something happen, is usually not the timing for it. And God will keep putting, and you keep asking God, why is this taking so long? Because it's not time for it. Because when it is time for it, God will he will supernaturally open the doors. Because I had never in my life, now I get blessed a lot. I will not say I don't. I just had 2 people out of the blue just inbox me lately like, hey, you got any projects I can invest in? But I had never manifested $60,000 in 30 days. From people that I didn't even know. So it's a blessing. And sometimes, you know, when you're a really giving person and people try to attack your character, and I've seen that with you, like you give your all and people will still attack your character. But the difference between me and you is you about that life. You attack my character, I'm attacking your character back. But me, I tend to go inward and process it, and it eats me from the inside out. You're so strong. You won't allow the poison to eat you from the inside out.
No. I
remember you told me I have to fake sick because I never get sick either.
Right.
So
like,
your body is a temple where God lives, and there is no sickness where God lives. There is no stress where God lives. So I know He lives in you. So I knew that it was God's plan. And like I said, our friendship had already turned into a sisterhood already. And I still have dreams of us living in this amazing place. I'm not sure where it is, and enjoying and sitting back watching our grandchildren grow up and talking about these times, because we're definitely probably gonna grow old together.
Right, exactly. See why I call her my angel / sis, like that part.
We're gonna grow old together.
Yes. And I can't stop for thanking you and your husband. Like, you don't know how much I really mean when I say, you know, thank you from the bottom of my heart, you know, because I know it was God, you know what I'm saying? And it's times that I pray to Him, and you'll come right and just say for confirmation. I'm like, okay, God, now I know now you use tarot to answer things now and everything. And my prayer all the time is, you know, keep you covered and constantly, you know, keep your mindset, because you are more than what people seem to look at you one way but don't know it's more of you, you know what I'm saying, that they have not seen the half. And you will help anybody. I mean, anybody. Not just be like, okay, sis, you can't help everybody, you know, but you know, you just have that heart. You want everybody to do well, and it's just like, and it hurts me when I see that a person trying to try you, you know what I'm saying, and I be ready to be like, hold up, you ain't got it, you know what I'm saying. But it's just natural, you know, natural for me, whatever.
It's natural for me.
Yeah, so I mean, it's nothing but love, but we have to get there, you know. And I just look how you had went through a situation, and how, you know, to tell people how, you know, with the far as like, you know, I know you had your job or whatever not, and to go from anything you want, you know, you can get, to now it's like you gotta second guess whatever it is, you know, how God really, you know, carried you through that moment. How did you do it? Because people is like I tell people all the time, this show is about somebody helping somebody. So it's somebody out there that need to know, how did you do it?
So we I always say we go to church to lie to God. And I say that because, like, with the praise and worship, one of my favorite songs is Yes. And it says, will you say yes? If God told you what He really wanted, would you say yes? And we in there and we singing yes. But then a situation happens and we're saying no. Right. God, this hurts. God, this is uncomfortable. God, no. And God said, but you just Sunday, you just was singing yes. And even the verse of the song says, if you really knew what God really want, would you still say yes? So when you're in the middle of the storm and it starts to the rain starts to pour, we want to retreat. We want to get to safety. We don't want to be there. No. And sometimes God says, you said yes, and you're going to weather this storm. Transitioning from federal service was one of those things. You know, I suffered from feeling inferior as a child, because academically I've always been gifted, but I was surrounded in an area where I was always the smartest in the group. So it would stunt your growth. It stunts your vocabulary, because you tend to use words and until you get out of that environment and you're able to be with people who can pull out the best in you, you'll kind of like shrink. So being in the federal service after naval service, it kind of helped me grow as a professional and utilizing, you know, the things that I had academically learned. But God kept telling me that, especially when I started the entrepreneur journey 3 years ago, God kept telling me you need to be there to model. Right. Because my husband would say, when you work in the business, we make 4 to 5 times more. When you don't work in the business, they struggle. And then we have to bond them out. And he was like, why is that? And I'm like, because when I'm there, people mimic what I do. And
they think they superwoman.
Right. But you know, they mimic
do
you.
What you do. Yeah.
And I am a servant. You know, I've servant leadership, even in the military, federal service, I'm a servant because Jesus was a servant. And so I'm the worker. You will never see me sitting back in a chair being waited on. It's just not my style. I would get performance appraisals that say you don't delegate enough. But I feel like we can do this faster and better together.
Of course.
And at a point, if you're mimicking me, you're going to put me out of a job because you know everything I know. And then my elevation will come from that. So I trust that when it was time to go, God was going to make a way. But it was hard. And I struggled with it. I went on leave without absence. But mentally, I knew I had detached from it. And God says, will you trust me?
Oh, yeah.
And he asked me, will you trust me? And my mouth and my prayer said yes. But my internet finger looking for another federal job said no.
Yeah.
And then God says, you know what? It's not going to happen. You're going to trust me 100%.
Yes.
And that's what I did.
Yes. And
if I would have to tell, you know, you never know that God is enough until God is all you have.
Yes,
it's unbelievable what we put in the way of God, thinking that when we try to do it for ourselves, because you can't outgive God.
No, you cannot.
You can't outgive him. When you do your part, which is keep the noise so you can hear his voice guiding you in what you need to do, he'll put the dream in you, and you'll know it's a God-given dream because you won't be able to forget it. You won't be able to get past it. It'll be all you think about, all you ponder on, all you talk about. That is your God-given purpose. And then once you're doing your work that you can do without pushing, God will make everything else line up.
Yeah, like I always say, you know, I look at it like, you know, we got doors, you know, we pick and choose what doors we want to open when we walk down the hall. At the end of the hall is God. So his door is like everything going in some, but you got to get there first, you know. And like I say, you know, I just can't think enough like how when you're walking in what he wants you to do, the peace of mind he give you.
Oh, yes.
But you go through so much pain. You know, you go through so much pain, but you have the peace of mind, but you go through so much pain. You just got to push and know, okay, if I could just get through this, I know it's a, you know, breathe at the end. And you be wanting to give up, but that's the easy part.
Giving up is easy.
Yeah.
But you know how they say pain is not love, but I'm thinking of it as a parent. When your child is outside playing and living, you know, just playing, you're a small child and you're just playing. Your parents sit there and they watch and you're playing and they're okay. There is no affection being exchanged. You're watching, they're playing, and everything is good in the world. But your child falls and scrape a knee. Then you rush to their side and you hold them.
Right.
We are closest to God when we're going through pain.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So it's like, yeah, it is hurt, but right now I'm in his bosom.
Yeah.
Right now, God is, you know, he's not just watching me out here living my life. And God craves that attention and that love from his people. So I think the pain is there as a reminder that he's always watching and he's going to be there to comfort us. But as uncomfortable as it is, you sit in the bosom of God in your pain. The more pain you feel, there is no outside source that can relieve your pain but God.
That's it. That's it.
But God.
That's it.
So you're actually literally in his bosom at that time when you're going through pain. So it may hurt, but at the same time, if you think about the fact that God is focused on me right now, like I am in his bosom, I am his focus right now.
Yes.
And if you use that time when you're in your pain to talk to him.
Oh, yeah.
People laugh at me. I said, I know the voice of my father.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Nothing like
But it took years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it do.
To know the voice of my father. But I know it now. I know it. And I yearn to hear it because he talks to me mainly in my pain.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because when I'm happy, it's so much joy in my mind. His voice is. But when I'm in pain, I don't want to be, it's just his voice.
Yeah, it's all about him.
It's all about him.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, even like I said, I love the fact far as you and your husband, what y'all doing for the people, because we all go through things, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot. And like you said, with the pandemic going on and other things, you know, people need to know what to do, how to keep their marriage together, how to, ones that want to be married and want to, you know, like myself, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it's one of them things like, I'm so excited. I cannot wait to see where, you know, it's going to go. And, you know, to think back, you know, even to ask you a question, you know, what was that first moment you remember when you realized God was God?
So when I was about 6 years old, I would go to church with my grandmother. My father was an atheist. My mother, she was raised in a, you know, a religious household, but she had got into worldly things. By the time I was 6, it was 80s, and my mother was on drugs, and I was the oldest grandchild, so I was always around grandma, and I would go to church with grandma. And I remember praying for something, and it happened. And then as I got a little older, about 9, my mother was really strung out on drugs, and I was caring for my little brothers, and there was no food, and my mother had been kidnapped. And even though we didn't know she had been kidnapped at the time, I could feel it. And God said to me, take care of I'm going to make sure that we take care of you. Because I was 8, 9, taking care of them. I'm going to make sure that we get through this, and I'm going to bring your mom back to you. And he did. And when they called me and they said your mom had been kidnapped, she was locked in the basement, handcuffed to a radiator in the basement. She had to break her foot, which is why she has a limp. She had to break her ankle in order to escape. And God had already told me that he was going to release her and that she was going to get better. And I knew right then and there that, and nobody gave God to me. Like I found God for myself. So when people talk, I'm like, you can't take something you didn't give me.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, he gave me. So at 10, I would go to church because I was go to church. We didn't live near grandma anymore. I would go to church at 10 years old. There was a church across the street. I would go there every Sunday by myself. Every Sunday. And then I would take my little brothers with me. And people used to be like, how old are you? Every Sunday. And then at 11, I decided to get saved. No family. I got saved, and I just would go to church, and I just would pray. And I've never prayed for anything that God didn't give me. He has never, even though delayed is not denied. Right. I understand that there's a season for everything. There's never been anything I've prayed for that he didn't give me.
Yeah, I totally understand, because I said, look, I gotta be careful what you pray for.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes we pray for things and not ready for what he may give it, how he might present it to us. But at the same time, you know, God is not he don't force himself on you. That's the beautiful thing about him. Yeah. You know, now the devil do, but God don't. You know, he always sit on the sideline like, you know, whenever you're ready, I'm here. Yeah. I'm always watching. I'm always, you know, here to protect you. But you have to invite him, and you have to know who God is all by himself. And, you know, it's not nothing that he can't do. You know, you just have to believe and know. And the rest, you know, falls in place. It never fails or whatever. But at the same time, you know, I can't do nothing but brag and just, you know, just the God, like when I think about all that I've been through, and, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, you know what, God, you know, if I have to say it by myself, I'll be that person just to say it by myself.
Well, you won't be by yourself, honey, because I imagine him smiling, sitting in heaven, smiling, saying, my faithful servant Tara is out there bragging on me again, because I love to brag on him. And even when I see people in their hurt and they're disconnected from God, because even though I know God, I have been disconnected from God at times. And I remember my first disconnection from God is when I lost my first husband to suicide. And I just was like, God, how could you take the girl's dad? Like, this is not fair. And I felt like he didn't hear my prayers anymore. And then it just came a comfort one day in praying that I would get my connection back with God. So when you know you don't hear your Father's voice anymore, you've got to make physical and spiritual changes, fasting, praying, cutting things out to get the connection back. Because that connection is vital. It's like your umbilical cord. So once you receive God and then you experience God, when you know that connection is not there, you yourself have to make a conscious effort to reconnect to him. You have to, because other than that, you'll get drowned in a sea of sin. Oh yeah. Definitely. So you have to know when it's time to turn the plate over and fast. You have to know when it's time to disconnect from people who are just spewing negativity into you. I avoid negativity by all means. If you come and you're negative and you're this and you that, I will disappear so fast you won't know what hit you.
That's the best thing to do.
That's the best thing.
Yeah.
You know, you have to. And some people be like, well, my husband like, you're so short, you're cut. Because taking the time to connect to God is not selfish, it's love.
Right.
And it's self-help.
Oh yeah, so definitely.
I can't help you if I'm disconnected from God, because He the source.
Right.
So if you trying to get power out of me and I ain't plugged into the source, we both dying batteries. Look, we both two dead iPhones.
Like blind leading blind. Yeah, definitely. If there was something, you know, as far as, you know, because you was there in the beginning of the IM4GOD movement or whatever, what would you like to tell people about, you know, especially the first time I even said anything about it, like to look at it now, you know, from where it came from, just a shirt advertising the, you know, shop to, you know, but then it went to not knowing God had a plan bigger, you know, and then how coming to Ramsey Street and where it's at now, like how far it came. I never seen it getting to this point.
Listen, I love when I have the shirt on, and it's especially now because people reading shirts to see, you know, people have their opinions on Black Lives Matter or you know, the Black, you know, uprise. So people tend to pay attention to what your novelty shirts say. But it don't matter the race, creed, whatever. When people see the IM4GOD, especially elderly people, they will make their way to you to say, me too.
Yeah. Oh, they do. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
I like your shirt. You know, I remember going to the VA hospital. I was going through my cancer treatment and I was getting on the escalator and the guy was going down the escalator the other way and he came back up the escalator and he came in oncology. And at this time, I'm like, I'm feeling defeated. And he comes in there and he was like, IM4GOD too. Thank you. And I was like, I looked down at my shirt and I'm like, here I am feeling defeated and God is here with me.
Yes.
So the shirt is a comfort. It's like having God's hands wrapped around you. And it's a declaration to the world that this is what I'm for. I'm not perfect.
Right.
I'm not, you know, trying to force it on you. I'm just telling you what my stance is in this life. As for me and my temple, we serve God.
Yes, that's nothing but true. Can you give some people something to leave them with, as far as like encouraging, you know, for those out there that may be going through something that you know you might want to drop a little token on somebody, you know, because everybody needs somebody to tell them something.
So I'm a visual person. I like to paint pictures that can be visually, you know, seen in your visual mindset. I like for you to think about if you've ever cracked your phone, you know, these very expensive phones that we carry around that have become our lifeline. And if you've ever cracked your phone, you will eventually get a new phone. But while you have that cracked phone, you still use it. And you still use it because cracked is not broken.
Exactly.
Even though you may be walking around with cracks, you're not broken.
Right.
God did not save you to kill you. And even though life gives us these cracks, little cracks, big cracks, you know, you look at the cell phone and it's cracked, have some small cracks, some big cracks, some gashes. It still makes
works.
calls.
Yeah.
It still works.
Yeah.
The blood still works.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I say that because you'll see a broken phone no matter where you are. If you go outside and it's a visual reminder from me that cracked is not broken. Cracked is not useless. Cracked is not gone.
Right.
So remember, as strong as glass is a very strong material, but it still can inhabit cracks. So cracked is not broken. The blood still heals. And even when you are dealing with personal cracks, just know that God can still use you to make that call.
Yes. And can you tell the people where they can find, as far as for your husband, you and your husband, what y'all got coming? Where can they find anything about, as far as what you got coming up? Or
so the marriage and mental health blog will begin later this month. Right now, I'm letting God speak to me. So if you go to the Facebook Marriage and Mental Health, you'll see me waking up in the middle of the night and just putting quotes that God is putting inside of me. And I think that is God giving me my material. So it may be 40 or 50 quotes on there already, where God is just giving me these things to put out and those will eventually become the blogs. I won't have to think about it. I could just go there, choose a topic, and talk about it. I really want it to be an open session where we talk about something that can help us heal.
Yes.
There is no right or wrong in marriage, but there is a level of sacrifice and commitment you have to make it work.
And you have to promise me you'll come back, because we're going to have girls' day one day, y'all. Because so much, we can't fill it up in all this time. But to come back on the show, because there's so much to talk about. I mean, and so much need to be said. And, we all can learn from each other. And there's somebody out there that needs to know how we go from one place to another. Because what we look like, thank God we don't look like we've been through.
Oh, my goodness.
But, I just got to tell you, we're going to tighten this up. And I appreciate everyone tuning in. And thank you again, sis, for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And soon to come, we will have the IM4GOD website up for y'all. For all those that's, be patient with me, y'all. I promise you I got you. Just give me a little time, but I will get that information out for you as soon as possible.